So as I've said, there's a famous metaphor of the bow and arrow. The mantras 3 and 4 chanted together because the message is in these two verses continuation. So having taken the bow, the great weapon of the Upanishads, one should fix an arrow sharpened by spiritual practice. I'll explain. Having drawn it with the mind wholly absorbed in that alone, no. Means penetrate or hand. Again he says, Somya Vidhi. That imperishable goal, which is a target, Aksharam is the target. Pranava, Om is the bow, the self is the arrow, and Brahman is said to be the target. One with steady and undeflecting mind, knowing that should become one with it, like the arrow. Pranava. So what is the aspects of comparison? Vasantama, what is the bow here? You have got the translation with you, ma?
Yes, first few lines.
Could you, Gayatri ma, please share once again? No? So the mantra 3.
Having taken the bow is the knowledge.
The bow, the great weapon of the Upanishads, he says. What is the weapon of the Upanishad? Hold here, don't share further. What is the weapon of the Upanishads, ma?
Bringing out the knowledge of the consciousness, the self, through the knowledge.
Okay. Now, can you share mantra 4, please? What do you read?
Is the bow.
So, the great weapon of the Upanishad is the Om syllable, the Pranava. The syllable Om, Pranava, is the bow. The target is not difficult to guess. The target is the Brahman. The self is the arrow. So the arrow here refers to the mind. When you say the self, it's the mind. So when you use the bow to shoot the arrow to target, to reach the target, is the spiritual practice, is the art of archery. When you do archery, you're trying to hit the target. I remember long ago, a kind of a sport where they tell you to how you shoot an arrow. So I remember a guy will come and tell you your shoulder has to be straight, and how you hold the bow, and if the shoulder drops, the target will not hit. Things like that. So the art of trying to hit the bullseye is compared to the spiritual practice. We're all trying to perfect our spiritual practice, which is compared to a shooter trying to shoot the arrow to the target. So when the effort is greater, when all that needs to be taken into account to perfect that art of archery, to that extent, there is a success rate, isn't it? So greater the effort, swifter the seeker reaches the goal. You don't put an effort, you stagnate, you don't grow at all. And you're mindful of all that which goes into that art of archery, the chances of hitting the goal also is right. Now, in all this, what's important is, okay, what is the most important aspect? It's very beautiful once you understand it. The most important aspect in the art of archery is not pulling the arrow. You place the arrow onto the string on the bow and then you pull. What he's trying to get to is the whole object is not about pulling the string. It's all about releasing the arrow. The real crux, the real essence of the philosophy that we draw from this metaphor is not about pulling the arrow. It is to release the arrow so that it reaches its goal. I may hold the bow, pull the arrow onto the bow, hold it there, place it there, but then I don't release it. What will happen? It'll never go to the target, isn't it? So the real thing is the release. Now, what I want to know is, what do you all understand from the release of the arrow? The self is the goal, the target. The Om is the bow. The arrow is the mind. So the mind is so hooked on to the Om that it will take me to the goal. Correct? Huh? So what are we talking about? We're talking about meditation here, right? The mind is so well lodged onto the thought. The mind is not interested in any other thought. It is disinterested in the worldly thoughts. The mind, the bow is the pranava, Om. The arrow is the mind. The mind is so well hooked on. There's no other thought that charms or enamors the mind. And the Om is the arrow that has to go and become one with the board, which is the goal, which is Brahman. So this is talking about meditation. Now, in the concept of the metaphor, it is about releasing the bow. It's not about releasing the arrow. It's not about pulling the arrow. Now, what do you compare this releasing of the arrow? That is the real crux, apart from the beauty of comparison. It's as famous, if some of you have not heard it, it's as famous as the famous metaphor of the chariot, which appears in the Kathopanishad and in the Mahabharata. The famous chariot metaphor, the 5 horses, Lord Krishna, Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It's a comparison. Very famous metaphor, which is often referred to. Is as famous as that metaphor. The metaphor of the bow and arrow. It only appears here, nowhere else. So please take a note of it, mark it. Hariji, enna sir, incognito mode irukkinga. Are you there? Is it the same, Hari? Abba. After so long giving darshan to us, sir. Hari Om, sir. என்ன சார் incognito mode இருக்கீங்க நீங்க?
No, now currently I am not well. I am unwell for the past 10-15 days.
Your body is unwell. You are not unwell, no?
I am only body. I meant that in the.
Correct, sir. Pray for your well-being. We'll connect after the class, sir.
Thank you.
So, the question is, no, if you're not in a position to put on the camera,
No,
please feel free. Please feel free. Okay, right? So, but you still be connected. The question I'm asking is, what do you understand of the release of the arrow? What do you understand of that? Any thoughts, Hariji?
That is the single pointed.
Sir, we lost you. We couldn't hear you. Can you come again, please? I'm afraid there's some audio issues. Okay. Lakshmi Ma, please. Hariji, any thoughts? You can just share in the chat box. Try now.
It's in the letting go of the ego and completely detaching yourself from your ID and all that. That's what it's all about, the arrow. It's like the pole vault, right? You have to give up everything, and then when the arrow goes, you drop your ego and identity and just release it. It's all in the letting go, how you let go, right?
It's all in the letting go. Absolutely right. Very true. Very, very true. The release of the arrow is akin to letting go. Okay, let me hear from Setuji. Yes, sir.
Guruji, you get established in self when you are already egoless. So letting go is the last bit of attachment to Guru. It is when you like Paul Walter, because that is the last, when you get into meditation, you are in the last final 2%. So you get into that only after egoless.
Correct, correct. But the last thought is not of the Guru. Why do you say last thought is of the Guru?
Because he is still attached to Guru. Guru is the one who.
The last thought is Pranava, Om. That's why the text also says Pranavo Dhanu. The arrow. So the bow is the Om. So that which you hold on to last is the mind that holds on is the Om, not Guru. All they have already gone long before. So the first, in fact, one of the essential things a Guru does to a Shishya is a Shishya should be self-sufficient. So when your child is adult, the moment the child is 18, and as growing, don't you expect your child to be self-sufficient? Till then you have provided for, taken care of, trained and groomed, etc. And once you're given the license to drive, I say, now you drive yourself into the world. I've given you that skill and know-how. I'm not going to drive you. I've driven you enough from cradle to 18. Now you drive yourself. So the parent expects the child to be self-sufficient. So a student also should be self-reliant, not depend on the Guru for everything. There were times where Guru is needed, but that attachment to the Guru goes much, much before, not at the last stage.
What is letting go? What is that we are letting go?
Last letting go, I would, as I've mentioned, last letting go is the Om. That's why I said while you're meditating, the mind is hooked on to chanting the mantra Om, right? So as you note that in the meditation, you're chanting the mantra Om. And in the meditation, there is matra, which is the chant, and then there is amatra, which is the silence between the two chants, right? So when I chant Om, Om, Om. So what I'm doing, a seeker consciously elongates the silence between two chants. First it is Om, Om, Om. The mind is chanting constantly, which very brief silence. But as you get completely established in that practice, the silence becomes longer. And last, what happens is that sound dies away. And then what remains is silence. In fact, to that effect,
Om is intellect or mind?
Om is the last thought. Man minus thoughts equals self. Thoughtlessness, egolessness is realization. So the last thought is the thought of the self, which is the barrier. So when would I attain that state of egolessness or thoughtlessness? When I release the last thought. No more holding on to the arrow. I must let go of the mind of the bow. It separates from the bow and reaches a target.
You are
That is, sorry?
You are the self, and you realize that.
That is symbolized by the arrow becoming one with the goal, with the bow. But the release of the arrow symbolizes letting go, means you must be detached to the thought of Om. You are holding on to the thought of Om as if it is the most important thing. But like last Sunday, we described meditation. No meditation is complete without the role of the intellect. It is the intellect that plays a role of detachment. Otherwise, mind gets attached to anything that it does. Mind gets attached. Sorry, sir?
From you are becoming from Dvaita to Advaita.
Correct.
Last, even Om attachment is Dvaita. You are thinking all the time, he is different. God is away. You are God.
You become one with God. That is Advaita, one. So the cessation of effort, the letting go of that last thought gets you to the goal, not holding on to. So it's renunciation of thought that makes you get to the self, not attachment to a thought. Letting go. You have to let go. Just like in our own experiences, it is the anxiety to sleep keeps you awake. But when that anxiety is gone, that's when you actually sleep, and you actually don't know when you actually slept. You have been tossing in the bed because of the anxiety, but when that thought drops, that's when you actually sleep, isn't it? That is what is immortalized. Lord Buddha, what he did is when he was sleeping on his side, you see the famous posture of Lord Buddha lying on his side. That posture is immortalized, as we have referred before, is because he let go of that the thought or desire to realize. And in that posture, he attained moksha. Oh, thank you very much, sir. Now, from now on, I also will try to be in that posture only. Huh? I think Lord Vishnu also is in that posture, no? Enna Posh Sharma, Gayatri Ma.
It's Anantasayana in Padmanabha Swami temple.
So Lord Vishnu also, Lord Buddha also. So this Lord also will adopt the same posture. Only thing different is that will Buddha, this will be Buddhu. So don't try to copy people like that. And this is akin to some of them had referred to that example of a pole vaulter. The real achievement of crossing the bar is only when you let go of the pole, like Lakshmi was mentioning. Only when you let go of the pole, that's when you cross the bar. So it's a crystallization, it's a cessation of your thoughts. Letting go of that actually gets you to the state of any achievement. Dispense the last thought. Not easy. The thing is, since you have put so much effort to identify with it, now to say let go of it. If you're attached to the child, I'll say the only way you enjoy your child is be detached to the child. Let go. How can I let go? My child, only child, I've given birth, I've taken care, provided. Now you say let go. Hey, let go. Da. That is when detach, you enjoy. Attach, you lose. Attachment only causes pain and trouble. Any attachment in any form is going to cause uneasiness. Amitama, you wanted to say something, clarify? All okay?
Yeah, yes, I think it came out in the discussion, but what I was going to say is you said that the important thing is the release, not so much the pull. But I was just thinking the release cannot be so focused and targeted unless there has been the right preparation. Yeah, the focus learning, the dedication to the practice, really truly committing to the knowledge, right? So when it's time to release, it is actually simple, effortless, because it is so grounded in a what shall I say, in an environment where the study, the practice, the dedication to the knowledge has been so well done. Yeah. I just thought that maybe the emphasis is not just the release, but it's also in the preparation for the release. Yeah.
It's a lifelong preparation.
To
be able to hold on to the Om syllable.
Yeah.
To sit and meditate, it's an aneka janma effort, not just taking up. It's like, I want to shoot archery, I want to win Olympic gold. Can I just pick up a bow and arrow and start shooting?
Absolutely.
It's like I'll make a joke of myself. And that art, it's a very it's anything, like any art, it has to be learned and perfected and practiced. So it is not letting go out of lack of effort. In fact, it is culmination out of a stupendous effort, unparalleled effort, uncompromising effort you put in. So much so nothing else is important to you than that goal of realization, and then you release it.
Yes, sir.
The last stage. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Hariji.
When we are talking about the last thought, can it be compared with the command of the student asking to remove the golden disc so that he can see the sun?
No, I wouldn't compare it to that. That implication there from the Ishavasya Upanishad is something else. No, he is referring to the student telling to remove the golden disc, is stating that I've already put in that effort. You remove it. That is a start of commandment. That's there the picture is complete. So he's saying, I've already done that. What is obstructing me? But here, the emphasis is on being detached to that last effort. So the accent is different. Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So, as I've said, this is a very famous metaphor, very deeply meaningful. And again, they're only having certain aspects of comparison. Any metaphor has certain aspects, but the Om is the bow, the arrow is the mind, means the mind is well anchored into the thought of holding on to the thought of Om, which reminds only of the self, which is the greatest weapon of the Upanishads. Upanishads only talk of Atman, nothing else. So the greatest weapon of the Upanishads, which is sharpened by spiritual practice, upasa nishitam, that clarity to see the goal clearly is sharpened by spiritual practice. The way you hold the bow and release the arrow is sharpened. That is a spiritual sadhana. It's not easy. An archer goes through that sadhana of perfecting the art of archery, is the spiritual practice, akin to spiritual practice. Sandha yita should fix. Tadbha vagatena chetasa, with the mind absorbed in a laksham, the goal is the self. Beautiful, very, very beautiful. Very deeply meaningful as well. Okay. Latima, would you want to just share that initial slide you put about the upcoming thing and just mention a word or two? Can't hear you, Gayatri-ma.
On the 9th of July, we are having this book release by Guruji, Wisdom Conversation, and the Guru Purnima celebration at the Wisdom Institute. It's on the 9th July evening, 5:15 to 7:15. Request you all to spread this message to as many people as possible. And we'll be sharing this also in the satsang group, which you can forward. Thank you. Hari Om.
So release of the arrow has been done with reference to the book. So whatever effort had to be put in has been put. Now it is with the designers, and the target is 9th of July. So hope to see you all for that auspicious occasion where we are celebrating on the auspicious day of the Guru Purnima. So the details, as she said, would reach you all. In fact, it's not the end of the journey, it's actually a beginning. So it's been really been a very humbling experience through the writing and efforts. So we'll come back. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Guru Bhyo Namah. Harihi Om.